Q6343-1. A student fails his practical exam on his first attempt. Then he fails the test on January 13th. When is the earliest he can take the test again? A. Immediately. B. February 13th. C. February 12th. The correct answer is A. When a student fails the practical exam on their first attempt, there is no mandatory waiting period before they can retake the test. They have the option to schedule a retest as soon as they feel prepared. However, it is important to note that the student should take the time to address the areas where they struggled during the initial attempt. They should work with their instructor to identify the weaknesses, receive additional training or practice, and ensure they are fully prepared for the next attempt. It is crucial for the student to thoroughly review the practical test standards and any feedback provided by the examiner. By addressing the areas of weakness and improving their skills and knowledge, the student can increase their chances of passing the exam on subsequent attempts. It's important to remember that while there is no mandatory waiting period, the student should use their discretion and ensure they are adequately prepared before scheduling a retest. Rushing into a retest without proper preparation may result in further failure. Q6331. A person who the administrator finds has cheated or committed any unauthorized act while taking a knowledge test may not take another knowledge test within A. 90 days. B. 1 year. C. 2 years. The correct answer is B. When an individual is found to have cheated or committed an unauthorized act during a knowledge test, the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, takes such misconduct seriously. The consequences for such actions include a prohibition on taking another knowledge test for a period of 1 year. During this 1-year period, the individual is not allowed to retake any knowledge tests administered by the FAA. This restriction serves as a disciplinary measure to deter and penalize cheating or unauthorized behavior during testing. It is meant to ensure the integrity of the testing process and maintain the standards of knowledge and competence required for pilots and other aviation personnel. The FAA may conduct an investigation to gather evidence and establish the facts surrounding the cheating or unauthorized act. Once the investigation is complete and the misconduct is confirmed, the FAA imposes the 1-year prohibition on the individual's ability to take another knowledge test. It is important to note that cheating or committing unauthorized acts during a knowledge test is a serious violation of aviation regulations and can result in further consequences beyond the 1-year prohibition. These additional consequences may include the suspension or revocation of pilot certificates and other disciplinary actions based on the severity of the misconduct. The FAA upholds strict standards of professionalism, honesty, and integrity within the aviation industry. Cheating or unauthorized acts undermine these standards and can have serious implications for flight safety. By imposing penalties such as the 1-year prohibition, the FAA aims to discourage and prevent such behavior, promoting a culture of honesty and professionalism among aviation professionals. Q6332. What action may be taken against whom the administrator finds has on a knowledge test? A. That will be required to wait 24 months before taking another knowledge test. B. Any certificate or rating held by the person may be suspended or revoked. C. That person may be required to wait a maximum of 6 months before applying for any other certificate or rating. The correct answer is B. When the administrator of the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, finds that an individual has cheated or committed an unauthorized act during a knowledge test, various actions may be taken against that person. One of the actions that may be taken is the suspension or revocation of any certificate or rating held by the individual. The FAA has the authority to take disciplinary action against individuals who engage in misconduct or violate aviation regulations. Cheating or committing unauthorized acts during a knowledge test is considered a serious violation and can result in the suspension or revocation of pilot certificates, ratings, or other certificates held by the individual. The specific action taken by the FAA will depend on the severity of the misconduct and the circumstances surrounding the incident. The FAA may conduct an investigation to gather evidence and establish the facts before taking any disciplinary action. The decision to suspend or revoke a certificate or rating is made by the FAA based on the findings of the investigation and in accordance with applicable regulations and procedures. It is important for individuals in the aviation industry to adhere to high standards of professionalism, honesty, and integrity. Violations such as cheating on a knowledge test can have serious consequences and impact the individual's ability to continue operating as a pilot or holding certain certifications. The FAA's actions aim to maintain the safety and integrity of the aviation system by ensuring that individuals meet the required standards of knowledge and competence. 6333. What class medical certificate, if any, required for a person adding a rating to a pilot certificate? A. None. B. Second class. C. Third class. The correct answer is C. When adding a rating to a pilot certificate, a third-class medical certificate is generally required. A third-class medical certificate is the most common type of medical certificate and is suitable for private pilot operations. It ensures that the pilot meets the medical standards set by the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, for safe flight. The third-class medical certificate is issued by an FAA-approved Aviation Medical Examiner, AME, after a thorough medical examination. The examination assesses various aspects of the pilot's health, including vision, hearing, cardiovascular health, neurological health, and general physical condition. Having a valid third-class medical certificate is necessary to exercise the privileges of a pilot certificate and to act as pilot in command, PIC, when adding a rating. It demonstrates that the pilot meets the medical requirements to safely operate an aircraft. It's important to note that there are certain exemptions and alternatives to the third-class medical certificate, such as basic med for eligible pilots flying under certain conditions. However, these alternatives have specific requirements and limitations, and it's advisable to consult the FAA regulations and consult with an AME for accurate and up-to-date information regarding medical certificate requirements. 6342. A flight instructor applicant must demonstrate spins in an airplane or glider when A. The practical test for initial certification is being given. B. Being retested for deficiencies in instructional proficiency on stall awareness or spins demonstrated during an initial test. C. The airplane or glider to be used for the practical test is certificated for spins, and the applicant is being given an initial practical test. The correct answer is B. A flight instructor applicant must demonstrate spins in an airplane or glider when being retested for deficiencies in instructional proficiency on stall awareness or spins demonstrated during an initial test. This requirement applies when the flight instructor applicant is undergoing retesting for any instructional deficiencies related to stall awareness or spins that were identified during the initial practical test. The purpose of this requirement is to ensure that the flight instructor applicant has the necessary knowledge and skills to effectively teach and address stall and spin situations with their future students. During the retest, the flight instructor applicant will be expected to demonstrate a proper understanding of stall awareness and spins, as well as the ability to recover from spins and effectively instruct students in these areas. The specific maneuvers and procedures related to spins will be evaluated by the examiner conducting the retest. It's important for flight instructor applicants to be well prepared and knowledgeable about stall and spin awareness, as well as the recovery techniques specific to the aircraft or glider they will be instructing in.